Greetings, Games Done Quick Submission panel. My name is Warmech, or also known as Warmech Gaming, and today I will be submitting Plants vs. Zombies, the mini-games category. This is a very unique setting of Plants vs. Zombies, where we attempt to complete all of the mini-games in no particular order, no necessary order. But each minigame is different and unique in its own way, so we sort of get to skill case a lot of different skills and strategies and mechanics behind the game. So without any further ado, I would very much like to get started. Alright, so we start off by buying the rake, and then jump into Slot Machine. The timing starts right when we click on this new game right here. And we start with Slot Machine. Hopefully this doesn't further anyone's gambling situations or anything like that, but it is a mini game that's a lot of fun and oddly satisfying to watch the wheel go round. So what the goal of this particular mini game is to collect 2,000 sun as fast as possible. And you'll see that there's a little bit of sun that sort of falls passively through the sky, but the main way that we collect sun is by planting sunflowers, like you see there, or by getting lucky and getting enough matches on the slot machine itself to get the drops. So the logic behind what gets dropped is that if there's a match of 2 of any particular plant, then in a seed of that plant will drop. Like you see there, I just got a match for pea shooters. And then if you get 3 of a kind, then you get 3 of that particular plant. And the way the sun works is if you get 2 matching sunflowers, you get 100 sun. And if you get 3 matching sun, you'll get 500 sun, which obviously is a huge, substantial portion towards our goal of 2,000. So you see, actually, my RNG starting off is relatively good. We got ourselves a couple of defensive plants, those being the pea shooters and the walnuts, and we also got the sunflowers as well to help us produce more sun. And very important is to make sure that we always spin away. Again, I got 3 of a kind right there, so you'll see our defensive situation right now is quite excellent. Really, there's not. This is probably the least strategic of all of the mini games. A lot of RNG here, which is actually why we play it first. From at least a competitive speedrunning perspective. The idea being, I think the world record is 2 minutes, something like that. But we've also had legitimate attempts that have gone 10 to 15 minutes without getting the necessary drops. So already there, you can see that there's a pretty high variance when it comes to the speed run or this particular mini game. I would say overall the average time is probably in the 6 to 7 minute range, with maybe a 1 minute standard deviation. I guess I could go into my splits and try to get some more concrete data on that. But again, we're actually having relatively good RNG to kick this one off with 5 sunflowers, a couple of drops, and no risk of running out of sun. If you run out of sun, you basically need to wait until you get one of the free passive drops for more sun, and keep going from there. So luckily, none of the other mini games have even close to this amount. Oh, and I actually got a 500 sun drop there. You can see now all of a sudden, we're already halfway to our goal. So again, with any luck, I should be able to keep this to under 6 minutes, which would be really good. Again, I intended, I'm doing this in just one take. I didn't want to try to manipulate the RNG or, only submit a run that had great RNG. I basically wanted this to sort of be a true and accurate representation of what an actual playthrough would look like at a Games Done Quick. Luckily, again, I'd say this is the most variant of any of the mini games, with only a standard deviation of maybe a minute or so. So again, it's looking unlikely here that I would beat my personal best, but nonetheless, we're still in pretty good shape. You'll see that despite getting a lot of sunflowers in the beginning, that's actually really lightened up. Really, since the 500 sun drop that we got, really haven't gotten a lot, a lot since then. It's been a bit of a rough go at it, I would say, but nonetheless, here we are. So the zombies, we'll get a little bit into this later, but we actually do know the mechanics behind I should say when zombies will spawn, and we know roughly at least the odds, the approximate odds of what types of zombies you get in each particular wave. And again, we'll get a little bit more into those mechanics in some of the later levels here, but it's actually not random intervals or not fixed intervals either that the zombies spawn, but rather it's a direct function of how much damage we do to them. So interestingly, in this game where killing the zombies gives us no benefit or no effect whatsoever, there's actually a case to be made for trying to kill the zombies as slow as possible, which again I know seems fairly ironic in a speed run of Plants vs. Zombies, and this is maybe the only level where we could say that would be that would be part of the strategy, but there you go. Again, with another 100 sun drop here, maybe just a little bit more. Again, I should be well under a minute away from completing this level, and being out of, again, what from a speedrunning perspective can be a bit of an RNG nightmare. Usually my target time is to continue a run is to be under 5 minutes, or again, being well under a standard deviation of what a normal run would be. And I would say, again, not a high percentage, maybe 15% of the total attempts get out of there. But again, luckily for games done quick, we don't need to worry about, the RNG is it's going to be what it is, and that's the way we go. So at this point, you'll actually see I stop spinning the slot itself, and that's because each spin costs 25 sun to do. So at this point, the probability of the slot itself paying off is not very high. So you can see again, 6 minutes. That was actually very average. Again, I know it looks relatively bad compared to, again, what I'm calling my goal split, which would be more of I would say a speed running goal split. But again, nonetheless, again, this is a fairly accurate representation of what an actual run at a GDQ might look like. So now we move on to, again, we try to get the RNG heavy ones out of the RNG heavy levels out of the way early on. Now we move on to raining seeds. And so again, as you can kind of see the theme here is we basically get random plant seeds that fall out of the sky. And again, these can be basically any plant other than I'll call them the quote-unquote premium plants that are in the game. So obviously what we really want to look for are things like, again, the very powerful plants you can see right there, the three-peater, any sort of offensive plant that helps us kill the zombies faster is going to be greatly appreciated in this level. And any plants that slow, that really don't have much of an effect against killing the zombies more quickly is going to be worthless. So again, this level maybe has a 30-second standard deviation with a mean of probably just under, maybe right around 10 minutes or something like that. Give or take a little bit. So again, very important, as you can see here, that I got a three-peater, because you can see I easily have 3 out of the 6 rows covered early on. Luckily, the zombies don't spawn in the pool until a little bit later, although you can see right here I actually did get a relatively early zombie spawn in the pool, but luckily I've gotten enough offensive plants to cover all 6 rows with at least 1 layer of firepower. You'll see here I'll put the spikeweed right next to the snow pea. The snow pea slows down the zombies, and so that means they're going to be standing on the spikeweed a little bit longer. So again, I wouldn't say that this is 100% RNG. It definitely isn't. There's mechanics sort of knowing behind what waves or what zombies are going to spawn in what waves, and basically just how to use the plants together pretty synergistically. Gotten a little bit unlucky. The garlic is, again, an example of a plant that doesn't do anything to help us move things along faster. And again, a couple of instant plants there, which are good for dealing with one particular wave at a time, but not so great. Oh, this is a great plant right here, the magnet. And again, what the magnet does is it pulls off any metallic objects that a zombie might be wearing. So some of the stronger zombies, for example, are like the football zombie and the bucket head zombie, which have much more hit points. However, what the magnet will do is it'll pull off the magnet, and as a result, lower their hit points substantially. And consequently, by lowering the zombies' hit points, that means that the next wave of zombies is going to be spawning faster. So, believe it or not, there's actually almost like a real-time strategy element that goes along to this game. That basically you really don't want any of your plants to be idle, for lack of a better term, or as they would say in a real-time strategy, that basically as long as all of our plants are firing away as fast as they can, and really trying to maximize their damage, particularly against the high hit point zombies, the better off we're going to be. Again, very lucky here. Another three-peater, again, which will provide again 3 P's worth of damage, 1 into each of the bottom 3 rows. You can see logically why we place the three-peater where we do. In the pool itself, you'll see we actually need to first plant lily pads and then plant offensive plants on top of those lily pads. So luckily the RNG is a little bit manipulated in our favor here, where again, you're a little more likely to get a lily pad than other types of plants. Again, you'll see I have a little bit of bad luck here, not being able to deal with this Conehead as quickly as I would have liked, but I have a nice defensive pumpkin right here to be able to deal with the Conehead more quickly. Again, another three-peater is very nice RNG. I would say the RNG in the first half of this level has been well above average. It's been pretty good. Again, in contrast to Slot Machine, which I would say was overall just a little bit weaker than average, but again, something very, very realistic to what we might see in a Games Done Quick. Again, you're a little bit lucky. You can see at the very, very top row, you get a little bit of visibility into the zombie that's there. And if you have very careful eyes, you can actually look through some of the fog. There's a little bit, you can actually see right there in the second row. It's very hard to see, but there is a zombie that's right there in the second row. So, again, another strategic element to this is being able to, sort of carefully look through the fog and try to prioritize whatever zombie is the biggest threat. You'll see here we actually get a very helpful plant, the Plantern, that gives us visibility in a 5x5 square radius, which basically means that every row except for one, if you place it in the middle, is going to be visible. So, again, very, very nice to get the Plantern here, to be able to see what zombies are coming where, and basically be able to better determine what rows are going to need a little bit more help. Again, it'll be difficult to explain all the zombies at once. We actually get another Plantern here, so now I have complete visibility into the level, which is really good. But every zombie, the normal zombies, basically it takes 10 regular pea shooter shots to kill them. Again, we'll get into some of the more specifics a little later. The bucket heads take 27. Or the Coneheads, rather, take 27. The Bucketheads take 60. These newspaper zombies take about 10 for them to lose their newspaper, and then another, I think it's less than 10. It's like 7 for them to finish off the damage. We actually get the very powerful Doom Shroom here. What the Doom Shroom does is it kills all zombies in a 5x5 radius. Again, the Cherry kills all zombies or does a significant amount of damage to all zombies in a 3x3 radius. Again, those plants are instants, and once you use them, you don't get to benefit them for the rest of the level. So, strategically, what we hope for is that we get a lot of good offensive plants at the beginning of this level. Again, like the three-peaters, the repeaters, really any plant that is going to do consistent damage for most of the run. And then later on, we hope for some more instants to sort of help us, clean out those one-time, high hit point zombies that we have to worry about. Again, a little bit of bad RNG here with some of these spawns right before the huge wave. The way the waves work there are 10 waves per flag, and you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that there are 4 flags in this level. So in this level, there's a total of 40 waves. Basically, anytime that you do 50% of the, it's between 35 and 50%, but up to 50% of the current wave's hit points, then the next wave will spawn. And so that was a mechanic that we discovered just about a year ago that we call the 50% rule. And that being, again, so right now I've done about 50% of the hit points of this particular wave. And so you'll see, yep, within 2 seconds later, the next wave will spawn. So again, once I do 50% of the hit points of this wave, then the next wave will spawn, which again, you can see happened, well, right around 2 seconds ago. And again, being able to take care of the bucket head, that was very quick. That particular wave was very fast. So in other words, long story short, without worrying too much about counting zombies' hit points or anything like that, the long story short is the faster that you kill wave X, then the faster wave X plus 1 will spawn, or the next wave. And then again, the faster you kill that wave X plus 1, then the faster the subsequent wave will go. There's a couple of exceptions to this, and that's the waves right before the huge waves, and then of course the final wave itself, you need to kill all the zombies. It's not going to let you get away with not killing all the zombies. You can see here, the reason I used the Doom Shroom down there, we immediately killed a very high hit point, otherwise difficult to kill football zombie, and we did the same thing there. I've actually gotten very lucky here with the Doom Shrooms right towards the end. You'll actually see here I make a bit of a strategic decision to hold on to the Doom Shroom until the final wave. Reason for that being, as soon as the final wave spawns, again, this wave is probably the most important to kill quickly, because, of course, the level is over. And you can see it's actually a good thing I did. I got 2 very high hit point bucket heads right in there. And you can actually see that single Doom Shroom killed about 90% of the final wave. So actually, I would say, again, a relatively above average raining seeds here. Now we move on to Invisigoul, which, again, is... another one that I would say is the last one that I would say is truly more RNG based than not RNG based. Again, very similar to some of the other levels. Relatively random, we'll say pseudo-random seeds will spawn in your little conveyor belt there, and then the zombies will spawn in different corresponding rows. And you can see, unfortunately, you don't know what zombies are in what rows, except if you use the ice shroom. But again, I like to hold on to the ice shrooms for a little bit later if I can. And unfortunately, we're very limited in the types of plants that we're given as well. So it can be very difficult to tell what zombies are coming where. But you can actually use very soft audio cues. So again, if you listen just for a moment, I can actually tell there that that's a bucket head, or rather a cone head. And so I know that I need to do a certain amount of damage in order for the very same 50% rule to be satisfied and for the next wave to spawn. You can actually see here I made a little bit of a mistake. I did know that there was a zombie in this row, but I didn't quite get it eaten, I thought that it was going to be farther behind than it was. So I actually wasted a very, very valuable pea shooter there. So that's quite unfortunate, and hopefully not the kind of mistake that I would make live, but again, a mistake that we can certainly recover from. So we can see what I'm doing here is I'm actually putting a walnut here, with the idea being if I can build up a lot of zombies in this particular row. Luckily, the game basically gives you an emergency plan B. In the lawnmowers at the end. So at some point, the zombie's going to eat through this walnut, and I'm then going to be able to clear out a lot of zombies in this row. I'm actually going to dig this up, I think, relatively soon, given how close things are. You can see I killed 3 zombies in that row using the lawnmower. So this level is particularly tricky because there can be a lot of difficulty between, again, how many of your lawnmowers do you want to use versus how much damage do you want to do versus the pea shooters versus what plants are you given by the game, for the RNG. So again, it's a very delicate balance. You can see I squashed the zombie in the pool. Given that, again, I've actually gotten pretty bad RNG here, I would say, after the first wave or two. With the types of plants that I've been given. I'm going to use a ice shroom here, given that there's a little bit of trouble in the pool and there's a little bit of trouble in that 6th row, the very bottom row there. And you'll see here that again, given that I know that there are 2 plants in the pool, I'm going to want to load up, or in that third row in the pool, I'm going to want to load up on the damage a little bit more in the pool, and basically then just hope, again, that I get one more pea shooter, which is very nice, to deal with the very last zombie that's in the pool. So now this is a pretty good situation to be in. All my rows are covered. You know, I have an okay amount of firepower out. And what I did right here was basically, I knew that this was the wave before the huge wave, but I actually misplaced my squash by just a little bit, which actually should be okay. I really didn't really want to use that squash until later on anyway. You know, got a little bit more damage to do in some of these rows, but again, if it takes too long, then the next wave will spawn automatically, other than the very final wave that you need to do. So again, I killed the zombie there, and you can see then the huge wave of zombies approaching. That means that our huge wave is coming up. I want to get prepped in the pool. So you can actually see, deliberately, I put a couple walnuts right here. The reason for that is that we get, you don't see them, of course, but we do get some very pesky dolphin zombies. These are very, very fast zombies that can appear in the pool only, and they move very, very fast until they jump over something. So by putting the walnuts as far forward as we do, we're basically protecting ourselves against these dolphin zombies from basically running through the row as quickly as they can and being able to attack our vulnerable plants in the back row. You can see in using some of the audio cues, I can actually tell that there's a bucket head in this row, so in that fifth row, plus that row is particularly vulnerable because it does not have the lawnmower, does not have the backup that we use. And again, relatively quickly, I want to be replacing the walnuts whenever I'm worried about... Again, you can actually hear the audio cue that I got there. There's a dolphin zombie. You can actually see from the little splash right there, he jumped right into our third row. So were it not for this defensive lily pad and walnut that we have right here, darn, I actually lost a walnut, a lily pad here, which is not great. So again, I kind of gotta, you know, I don't really want to use the last walnut, but you know, I probably should. Again, another annoying dolphin zombie in the pool levels, or in the third row, or the top row of the pool. Ooh, and a jack-in-the-box zombie there that you can see actually randomly explodes as he's running down the lane and kills your plants, including your otherwise very strong walnuts. So again, a little bit of bad RNG so far in the second half, but again, this can happen. I feel particularly good about this mini game. This is one that I've put a lot of practice into, and at least at the time of recording, I actually have an individual level world record for this particular level. And again, it ends up being a little bit more of a difficult level than you would think. Again, a lot of it is based on these very careful audio cues. That being like when I see a pea disappear, I listen for the sound that the zombie makes, because most of the different zombies make different sounds. And you're looking for splashes, like right here in the fourth row. I know that there's going to be a dolphin zombie. So again, actually a fair amount of strategy that goes along with this level, in addition to it being a very RNG dependent level, that being, you know, the more good, useful plants that we get. The faster the waves are going to go, and the faster that we'll be able to get through the level. So again, long story short, as you can see, all of these mini games are very, very different, and so speedrunning this particular category actually requires a huge amount of as I lose a bunch of plants there due to a jack-in-the-box zombie, which we sometimes call a jerk-in-the-box zombie, much like elementary school children. But again, they are jerks, so looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, right? So anyway, what I was saying is, each of these mini games are very, very different, and sort of requires its own unique, finesse and ability to react properly to different circumstances. So in other words, if you're very, very good at RNG grinds, for example, you might do well for slot machine. I'm actually going to be taking advantage very quickly here of a glitch that if I launch one of those ice shrooms just before, about a second before the final wave text appears, zombies that normally appear in the pool to sort of disrupt us will not appear. You can actually see I held on to a lot of my squashes here right towards the end, and I'm going to be listening for the bucket heads. And now at this point, I'm going to basically just try to hold off and see, which row is going to be our last row. Again, need a little bit more firepower there. I actually missed one of them in the top. But again, completed this level without too much incident. So again, I'd say the final wave was very strong. The beginning was decent, but everything else in between was a little bit mediocre. So again, wouldn't be great from a pure speedrunning perspective, but nonetheless would be okay. If I ran into some hiccups elsewhere. Apologize here. I'm having a little bit of a little bit of technical difficulties here. It looks like my mic's unplugged, trying to act up a little bit. So again, I apologize for having that a little bit out of whack here. But we'll get right back to the run right away. All right. So apologize for that little delay. But now on to Pogo Party. This is a very trolly level that if you were to go into blind without much in the way of strategy or preparation or even knowing what the level is about. I remember playing through this the first time. I actually took a death when I was playing through the game casually. Again, this isn't a very difficult game, but this particular level can cause a lot of problems. That being that all the zombies appear on pogos. That being that they move across the level very, very quickly, and they can jump over any obstacles that you have, or I should say most obstacles that you have placed for them. Luckily, we have a few counters to them that allow us to kind of take care of things a little bit more quickly. We've developed some pretty efficient strategies that make this level pretty consistent, right around in the 6-minute mark. Certainly possible to get in the high 5 minutes if you get the right RNG, but there's not that. And that being that we actually do deliberately take advantage of the lawnmowers here, basically sacrificing some of these early waves in order to plant more sun so we can get our much more powerful plants out more quickly. So in other words, I take a little bit of a delay on this level, on this wave, in order to further benefit us for later waves. This strategy was sort of developed in combination with a strategy that we have for any percent for some of these roof levels, coupled with, again, a couple of our, expert types of runners, kind of a little bit of trial error and things like that. So you can see I take advantage of the Gloom Shroom here. This is a relatively short range plant, but that does damage in an area, basically in a 3x3 area, so you'll see he'll start doing damage right about now. So if I couple that with the otherwise neglected Split Pea, you'll actually see this combination of plants is exactly enough to do the damage that we need to address these rows. I actually get a little bit of bad luck right here with this zombie here in the middle row, and I actually don't quite do enough damage, so I actually need to take advantage of the jalapeno that we take there. Otherwise, the level would have been over, and that would have not been a happy time. So again, this zombie, again, a little bit of bad luck with exactly where these zombies have spawned. I would have preferred a little bit more in some of the rows that we've proactively defended with a squash. You can see those being the very top and the very bottom row. But basically, the reason that we do this is because that way we can focus our firepower right in the middle, and and then just have squashes, and then sort of just load, kind of alternate between building the Gloom Shrooms, which have a large recharge time, and the Split Peas. You can see here I take advantage of the Doom Shrooms so that none of the Glooms get eaten. A little bit more damage to help move these levels along more quickly. Just trying to keep things a little bit prepared. You can see here I'll be putting up another Gloom Shroom, and this basically, if you have 2 Glooms in a row like this, then this will guarantee that you do enough damage in that row to kill any zombie, any of the Pogo zombies that appear. So you can actually see that in the 50% rule applies here too. So as long as I'm doing 50% of the zombies' hit points, again, as that one almost escapes, but not quite, we've tested this pretty regularly, and if you have either a Gloom plus a Split Pea or 2 Glooms, then you'll be doing enough damage to to make sure that none of the pogos get through. But basically, the reason that we plant the plants so far forward is because the pogos don't actually hurt our plants, and so we want to do everything possible to damage them as quickly and proactively as we can. I may have had a little bit too much sun here, but I see a Get Out of Gloom. And again, you know, also prepare to have a Doom for these levels, given that you can see we have a lot of regular zombies that appear, just to make sure none of our glooms get eaten. So at this point, it's really just kind of adding a couple more, and any more gloom shrooms at this point really don't help too much. 2 per row is really all you need to really sort of maximize your damage. And we really kind of wipe out this third flag very, very quickly. Again, you know, the most important thing that we do here is basically just to try to do, again, 50% of the current wave's hit points for the next wave to spawn. And again, that'll really help us minimize any idle time that we have for our plants. So it's, again, you know, this is a pretty fun kind of level. You know, but, you know, with a little bit of strategy, as you can see here, you know, we just have, you know, more than enough firepower to deal with any number of pogos that we deal with, or that the game throws at us. You'll see here I put a couple of squashes in the back. There is a chance that the final wave spawns these bungee zombies, which does mean that there's a risk that some zombie might get through. But you can see here I plant the Doom very perfectly timed, kill all the zombies on the final wave, and the level's over. So this again was actually a above average level compared to what I would shoot for in a run. And the very last of what we call our I say maybe the next to last RNG heavy level we have right here. So it'd be very nice to do Dr. Zomboss's Revenge to finish off the run, but again, unfortunately, from a speedrunning perspective, we you know, we have to deal with him a little earlier. You know, just given that you really don't want to have a high, an RNG intensive level at the very end. That's just not going to make for a good time. So again, Dr. Zomboss is, you know, the way he works is, again, you're given these seeds at the top that you can see here automatically, and he puts down zombies at random. And every so often, but unfortunately we don't know exactly how often, other than it's random, he comes down and gives us a chance to do damage to him. And as you can see, like in this 4th row, you know, and now in the 5th row, any plants that shoot, you know, are able to hit him as he sort of bends down here. You know, we get a chance to do some damage to him. So, and you can see here we can actually use some of our friend the Ice Shroom again, as well as the Jalapeno to sort of deal with the different things that he sends down, and to help us maximize the amount of time. The more Ice Shrooms you use, the longer that he spends down in this vulnerable state. But right now what I'm doing is I'm actually saving some of these Ice Shrooms for later on when we have more plants to be able to damage him more heavily. So again, this level is all about, you know, making good decisions, you know, trying to, you know, really trying to, you know, to maximize your plant's efficiency. You can actually see here, I deliberately use a Jalapeno, one to protect that row, but also to keep my plants from, rather than damaging the zombies, to try to do as much damage as they can to Zomboss himself. I do need to hang on to a Jalapeno, just in case he shoots the little ice ball right there, but rather he shoots a fireball, which then is countered by my Ice Shroom. So again, you know, with some of these little strategy optimizations, you know, we do as much damage as we can to him. There's actually a reason that we put the butter pulse in the back. That's because later on in this level, we're given some vulture zombies that basically shoot these things that damage your plant, and they do damage to the back row. So our melon pults here do the most amount of damage of any plant. Oh gosh, as I lose one of my lawnmowers here, that was not the greatest of strategies, but and again, as I lose a melon pult here, so gotta get myself a little more focused in here. But as I was saying, you know, the layout that we use is really to sort of help minimize the risk of any of our plants getting eaten or damaged or anything pesky like that. along with sort of, again, now that you can see I have a lot of plants available, it's now much better to use my ice shrooms to really hold Dr. Zomboss in place. And you can see at the bottom there that the damage meter is slowly getting ticked down. Not nearly as much as I would as I would like, but you know, we kind of work with what we got. Unfortunately, he does give us these very annoying bungee zombies. You can use jalapenos to deal with them, and you know, if I was feeling a little bit more risk averse or a little bit more threatened by him, I would use a jalapeno to destroy those bungee zombies. But instead, I basically decide to cut my losses here and you know, just deal with the fact that oh, and I actually get a pretty quick cycle. You can see the difference between the last phase and this phase was really not very much at all. Only maybe 20 or 30 seconds. Sometimes it can take him even several minutes to come down between phases. So this, for example, is another scenario where I would say 7 minutes is probably an average level, but the standard deviation, again, is probably 45 seconds. We've even had it take up to 10 minutes before to deal with Dr. Zomboss, and that's even with you know, using some of the optimal strategies. So again, very, very important to you can see here as he throws the bus, which kills not only our plants but the underlying pots that are beneath those plants. And again, you need to plant every plant on a pot for this particular level. Because of the roof. The roof is sort of the game's mechanics to basically be like, okay, you can only use these plants that lob or vault their attack power, and not any of our normal, you know, pea shooters. The idea being you would shoot it directly into the roof. So, but you know, again, you know, so by planting the plants on the pots, because of course plants don't grow on roofs, you know, that's where we end up. So you can see here I actually deliberately stall this Gargantuar using some of those pots because I have a couple extras, but you know, at this point I sort of start to run out of them. And you know, at this point, all right, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hold him in place with just one of these just one of these ice shrooms here, and sort of wait for Zomboss to make his appearance again. Use a couple of jalapenos right here to do some extra damage to him, and you know, again, begin holding him in place with a couple ice shrooms. Again, try to time it as wisely as I can here. We're very, very close to doing enough damage. I really, really hope that everything's going to be just tight enough. You can see I have a jalapeno here. Want to hold on to it. Maybe get this. Oh, if I get another. Yes. Okay, very good. So I actually saved ourselves a phase here, and probably, again, between 30 and 45 seconds, you know, from what it would be to kill him in the next phase. So that's very good. Again, this level was excellent. Probably the strongest RNG that we've had so far in the run. Again, not unrealistic to what we would get in a games done quick, but you know, nonetheless, very, very, very excellent. Again, the rake is a handy little tool that we can buy that kills the first zombie that appears on screen. So on this level, as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm trying to save up a couple of walnuts. And this is a fun level. It's called Walnut Bowling, and basically the idea is you know, you plant these nuts somewhere behind the red line. That's sort of like your foul line in bowling. And the zombies will either bounce up or down. Obviously, if it's in the bottom row like this, it's always going to bounce up, and vice versa. But the zombies basically bounce in a particular either up or down. And so the strategy here is also to abide by our 50% rule. We want to do 50% of the current wave's hit points. And if we do that, then the next wave will spawn. It's actually, in this case, I was off on my timing by just a little bit. I really should have done that. Up there, I could have saved myself a walnut, but moving right along here. And there's a couple of tricky zombies. You see there the Vaulter that likes to jump over any nuts that you bowl his way, but so, you know, sometimes we can get him to jump before he's ready. Or if you use an Explode-A-Nut, which I've been trying to hoard a little bit, that'll do a lot of damage. So again, if you can align your Explode-A-Nuts just so right here, you can really end up, you know, satisfying the 50% rule, getting that next wave to spawn, and just trying to move on as quickly as you can. Again, I really want to save my Explodonuts here. I don't want to waste any extra. Okay, I actually got very good value out of that walnut right there. Very, very happy with that decision. I'm going to throw one Explodonut right here, and then sort of, again, very quickly, you can see I deliberately hit that newspaper zombie, knowing that it would bounce up and I would get extra value out of my walnut. So again, this is a level that's very RNG based as I get another Explodonut. This is a very large quantity of Explodonuts, which is really going to help me a lot in this second half. This is actually some of the better RNG I would say that I've ever gotten on this level. Again, just trying to do some extra damage. You can see here, by using that walnut the way that I did, I managed to deal with him. I'm just going to let this zombie go. Just let the lawnmower do its thing. Again, that does a really nice amount of damage. I'm going to use one more Explodonut here. Just try to stall this out enough, and then use one more lawnmower deliberately here, which, as you can see, will kill this row. And then I'll actually have all the zombies wiped out at once, which is very, very rare for this level. Again, I've gotten very good RNG with the Explodonuts. Oops, I actually meant to put that in the second row. Very, very minor mistake there. Wow, this has been some good RNG. I've been moving through this second half very, very quickly. But what's very important is now that I've used my used lawnmowers, I actually have to make sure that all of the zombies die in this row right here. Actually, these two rows. Otherwise, I could end up in a pretty sizable amount of trouble. You can see here, I'm trying to time things just so. Oh, that was a nice one right there. Great value out of that. And again, this is the next to final wave, so I'm going to use another very valuable Explodonut, and that should actually trigger the final wave. So I actually want to get this guy out of the way on purpose so that I can get the most amount of value out of the lawnmower that we have right here. I actually get another couple Explodonuts. This is ridiculous RNG, and I'm not going to get a world record here, but I've got to be in the top 3. I would say this is really incredible RNG. And if I get one more Explodo, I'd maybe get second place. I'm going to either be second or third. Wow, this is great value. This was an incredible level and a gold split that I don't even want to know how I'm going to try to compete with. So this was above average luck for Walnut Bowling, and you can see I actually end up with a gold split there. So that's very nice. Walnut Bowling 2 is a different beast. You would think that it's the same, but we actually have some very, very different mechanics going on. That being that this level is programmed differently. That being that once you get a certain number of a certain type of plant, i.e. the walnuts, then you are less likely to get that plant in the future. So you can see once I get to 4 or 5 walnuts, the probability of getting another walnut goes down drastically. So you can actually see I'm manipulating the RNG to basically get plants that are much, much more valuable. You'll see at this point I will almost only get these very large giant walnuts, which do much more damage than the regular walnut. You can see they basically just plow through an entire row regardless of what zombies are there. Or I'll get the Explodonuts, which, as you can see from the last level, again, do substantially more damage than we would get otherwise. I'd like a couple more Explodos here, but not quite getting those. But as you can see, long story short, we actually want to use. It's almost like, I don't know if like when you were younger, like I know for me, I grew up like playing the old Final Fantasies and things like that, and so I would always save my very, very valuable, like my elixirs and like my super like potions and best like one-time use sorts of things to the very, very end. And this level like goes against like all of my principles as a gamer in that regards. That being that you actually now you don't want to hoard your elixirs, aka your very valuable plants. You want to use them as fast and as frequently as possible. I actually should have used that one a little bit sooner. I was right up against that 50% rule. So in other words, the more elixirs you use, the more you get. Or in other words, the more Explodonuts I use, the more I get. Or the more giant walnuts I use, the more I get. So again, this is actually, again, you can see I haven't gotten a single regular walnut since like 30 seconds into this level. It was very, very, very rare. We get the annoying dancer zombie, aka Michael Jackson. you know, spawning for in a couple of these rows too. So, you know, nice and important to get him. Otherwise, he just kind of spawns more zombies, and we really end up in trouble. Going to use a, kind of have to use 2 plants here to deal with this row. Unfortunately, have to use one of these walnuts. I even maybe should have used an Explodonut in hindsight, that I kind of prevent them from spawning in the future. But again, that I was running a little bit low. You know, I've honestly kind of gotten like the wrong plants at the wrong time. Again, given what we know about the RNG manipulation. So anyway, here I know a huge wave of zombies is spawning, so killing these zombies does me no good. But killing these zombies right here will do me some good. So you can see I try to time that just so that again I really make best use of these giant walnuts. Huge value explode. I probably killed close to 15 zombies or something like that. Unfortunately, I didn't see that dancer zombie in time, so ended up kind of wasting that Explodonut too. And I might actually have to use another one here on the bottom. Yep, I have to use another one on the bottom. That was very silly. I should have done that the last time around. Again, I try to time the Explodonuts just so that they blow up right as all the zombies appear on screen. So there's definitely a very important timing mechanism that goes on with this level. I don't think this level is going to be as strong as it was in my PB. Again, kind of due to just some little RNG hiccups and a couple of poor decisions that I've made throughout the course of the level. Yeah, you can see again a little bit of a waste there. Probably going to have to use another one of these right here to take care of our 50% rule. And I was really hoping to avoid using this Explodonut, but unfortunately that's what I got to do. Yeah, really, again, a couple poor decisions here, a little bit of bad RNG. I'm actually going to deliberately use these lawnmowers here because anything that I can do to try to save myself a little bit of firepower as I start to approach the very end of the level here is going to be the better. And after you use the lawnmower, you actually get 2 free waves where no zombies will appear in that in those rows. So I can really make extremely effective use of the cherry bombs right here, and I can maybe even make use of this lawnmower right here, right at the end. We'll see how well I can manipulate that. All right, this should be just perfect. Again, going to throw an Explodo here, another one here because I know I'm not going to get them all. Then basically just kind of throw the giant walnuts there at the end. So again, a good level, not as strong as it was in my PB, which was a gold split, but that's what we get. The next level is called Portal Combat, or Portrol Combat, as I sometimes refer to it, and that's basically a nice hybrid between 2 very excellent games, those being Plants vs. Zombies and the game Portal. So the way this level works is that just like in the game Portal, if your Ps, or if basically either a P or a zombie can move through these portals, and we don't have an example of that just yet because I want to really make effective use, but we'll use an example of it there. You can see it goes right through the portal as it would in the game Portal, and all the way out to the end. Luckily, the game, usually if you have the portals right in the very front here, it's not going to immediately start sending zombies in this row. But you'll actually probably see by the end of this level that the portals move throughout the level. So again, I get a little bit greedy with that cherry bomb. I probably should have saved that one, but it's still important to, again, sort of distribute your firepower relatively evenly throughout the rows, because you just don't know when the portals are going to move and basically start messing up your RNG a little bit. Again, I really love the mechanics of this level. This is definitely where things get a little bit more strategic. Again, when do I use the cherry bombs? And the torchwood is another very cool plant that we get here. So the way the torchwood works is any pea shooters that pass through it, you can see they turn into basically these fireball peas. And those, I'm going to hold on to this cactus for just a second. Oh, God. Oh, this is disgusting. Yeah, you can actually see I get extremely trolled. Look at this. Look at this nonsense. Extremely trolled with those portals right there. You can see the zombies basically walk from the yellow portal to the white portal, and then right to the end. So that was extremely poor RNG. And I'm in huge trouble here. Okay, I have to use this cherry bomb. right here, because otherwise that balloon zombie would have flown right through to the end. So again, oh my goodness, this RNG is like absolutely horrible. I can't remember the last time that I got RNG that was this poor. But again, this is something that could happen in a in a games done quick. So again, very important to try to save a cherry. You know, just really be prepared for anything in this level. You can see here, I just get all the zone. Thank God. Okay, luckily this one moved a little bit. And so again, very important to put these cacti zombies right at the very back here. Gosh, you can see there's another one moving through right here to, you know, okay, good. So even though I may lose this repeater right here, again, you can see that I have you know, I now at least have a solution to most of these rows. Well, I guess not so much this one, although hopefully, okay, I was going to say hopefully that gets saved right there. Again, you know, it can be very difficult to sort of think about this game a little bit, or this level, I should say, a little bit counterintuitively. That being, okay, like where are all the zombies going? You know, where should I use my cherries? In this case, I got a little bit greedy with some of those cherries. And I really want to try to hold on to some of those cherries to the very end. But, you know, this is where we end up. So, again, a little bit more, you know, unfortunate luck with, you know, being able to deal with this next to final wave here. So, luckily, again, I got a decent number of torchwoods. We don't always get one torchwood per row, but, you know, we did in this case. And one, you know, I should have, I was going to say one, okay, you see huge value that cherry there. That's great. What an insane final wave. This was very, very strong. Only a couple seconds off my gold split. So again, I'm actually, you know, I'm actually doing fairly well here. This really isn't too bad. So again, again, you can sort of see all these levels are a little bit different. They sort of have the same premise of, you know, your basic tower defense game. You know, you have these different plants that you can either choose from or you're given. And the mechanics of basically, you know, you do 50% of the damage to wave X, and the next wave X plus 1, you know, will then appear. Having a little bit of a brain fart right here with what to take. I take the cattail, okay, and we're ready to go. So this is an interesting level that basically it plays just like a normal level would in adventure mode. Actually, New Game Plus, technically. But everything happens twice as fast. The zombies move twice as fast. The zombies eat twice as fast. The plants plant twice as fast. The sun drops twice as fast. And the plants recharge twice as fast as well. So basically, this is a game for those of us, or at least those gamers that have quick fingers. Again, you can see early on, I take a couple sort of deliberate sacrifices in order to get my firepower up where it needed to be. Actually, going to use a squash there to deal with that. And then again, I'll plant a cattail, which basically shoots these little homing missile things that you can see right here. And yeah, try to keep myself in a good space here. Ugh, this is very annoying. I really don't like getting the vaulters this early. But now we actually plant some gloom shrooms as well. I'm planting this gloom shroom particularly conservatively. You know, just sort of given that this is I wouldn't go for like a world record kind of strategy. Right. You know, in a game's done quick. There are ways to do this level a little bit more quickly. But again, I'm playing a little bit more conservatively than I would absolutely need to. Again, in a games done quick kind of setting. Ugh, actually see a little bit of time loss there on that next to final wave. Again, here I'm going to use the tall nuts to help protect myself against these annoying vaulters and any other riffraff that we get in any of the rows. Also going to use the walnuts later on, hopefully if I get them back in time in the pool, in order to deal with some of the vaulter, the dolphin zombies that we get. You can see, unfortunately, our gloom shrooms are a little bit out of range, so this is not great. Again, this conservative strategy is definitely conservative. It's definitely slower than you know, what we would use going for a world record, and I'll sort of have to see if I can develop a slightly better, you know, marathon safe kind of route here. You can actually see these homing missiles go right behind there. Oops, I actually lost one of the gloom shrooms. I'm really going to try pretty hard here to develop a slightly better strategy than this one, you know, for a marathon safe type of setting. Again, this route is very, very safe. It's just I think I can do a better job of balancing speed, you know, with safety. You know, maybe being a little bit more aggressive, maybe taking a pumpkin planter or something like that, and again, you know, just really trying to best utilize the plants that we're given. Also, all while, again, clicking like a maniac. Again, I love practicing this level, actually. There's a lot of optimization to be had, you know, just given how fast it moves. But, again, I do feel like it's sort of moving towards, like, an early onset carpal tunnel or something like that. Like, I can feel my wrist, you know, starting to ache by the time that I'm done with a couple of these levels. So this is, again, you know, not the most ideal, but you know, it's one of the games we got to play through, and again, definitely a very, very high skill cap on this level. Not that you would know it from my play right now, which has been, shall we say, mediocre at best. But you know, again, a pretty you know, lots of room for, again, a very high skill cap. And again, just very different from a lot of the, you know, more maybe mellow, you know, casual type of feel. That this run feels like absolute chaos. It feels like an actual speed run. We joke about it sometimes on stream a little bit that, you know, Plants vs. Zombies is really not your average speed game. The entire nature of the game is non-deterministic, meaning that we don't know what zombies are we don't know exactly what zombies are going to appear in what rows. You know, we don't know how the sun is going to drop exactly at the beginning of each level. There's a lot of very, very small RNG elements that go along with this game, as I accidentally click outside the screen there, so like a silly person. And okay, finally we're done with carpal tunnel, and I can resume use of my right wrist, which you know, is always good. Anyway, but really what the game is again, you know, there's no frame perfect tricks. You know, there's no insane, you know, levels of click speed and things like that's necessary. Really, the one skill that you need is you need to be a good, strong analytical thinker. You need to be a good decision maker, and basically you need to be experienced enough with the games to sort of know, speaking of lack of experience, as I again, as I'm yakking, you know, not being able to pick the last plant, but you know, also being able to pick, you know, just being able to react to the situation that the game gives you well. I sort of put it, you know, along the lines of like this, you know, aside from the RNG elements, this game really is like playing chess for a couple hours. You know, you maybe know the opening, but you know, once you get past, you know, 10-20%, you know, 30% maybe of the level or of the game, it's, you know, you're sort of at the mercy of being able to react to different situations. You know, being able to, as I get horrible RNG to start this level. This is really not what we like to see. The zombies kind of showing up in the same rows, you know, back to back here. This is pretty aggravating. Speaking of which, this level is called Botany 2, and this sort of basically plays the role of the zombies are coming after you with pea shooters on them, and so we have to again try to react to what zombies are appearing in what rows, and kill them with our own plants, including, if we had wanted to, pea shooters. And again, basically make sure that our own plants don't get killed. After about, I think it's maybe 20 or so regular hits, and or about, you know, X amount of, you know, 2 or 3 seconds worth of bites, your plants actually would die. And again, these zombies just kind of march along, so that's why we do want to take a handful of defensive plants. You can see I plant the pumpkin, which gives our zombies like substantially more hit points, you know, as well as a squash or two to sort of, you know, being able to deal with some of the zombies, more instantly. You can see here I'm unfortunately going to need to block this guy with a little bit of firepower. I should be able to use this lawnmower to my advantage. Make sure that my plant does not die. And now, as you can see, we have 2 gloom shrooms in these rows, which basically means that these 2 3x3 areas, or in other words, a 6x, the entire row of 6 is going to be completely covered within this area. I actually don't care too much about the zombie in the pool that's kind of getting away, because again, once you kill wave X, the only thing that then matters are the hit points of wave X plus 1. We actually don't even need to worry about this zombie at all until technically the very, very final wave. And yeah, that's about what we get. You can see we actually get one of the Gatling gun Ps, which does a crap load of damage. And we take the Chomper here because these Walnut zombies that you see actually have a ton of hit points. And so it's very, very important to be able to do damage to them, do a huge amount of damage to them in a short period of time. And the best way to do that is either with the Squash or the Chomper. Now the Squash, which is an excellent plant by the way, is most of the community members' favorite plant. The Squash is great, but it does have a 30-second cooldown versus the Chomper you can see right here actually recharges in only about 7.5 seconds. So again, very, very important to to have a couple of instants here. Like you can see here, I'm going to use the Squash to get this high hit point zombie dead right away. And the advantage of that is, as they throw a Squash at me, if they throw a Squash, it's actually really nasty. That could kill one of the glooms. So probably the most important skill set of this level is to be able to react quickly to those Squashes. Otherwise, you can really see yourself in a boatload of trouble. Also being able to pretty quickly react to these walnuts and tall nuts to keep moving the waves along and to keep your gloom shrooms safe. The gloom shrooms do a really good job at basically reacting to all the other plants that are on the level. And then again, nothing wrong with throwing sort of a casual fume shroom here too. Just again, any little bit of damage that you can do is inevitably going to help you towards the 50% rule. Again, sadly, we have to use these plants as a bit of a these sunflowers as a bit of a sacrificial lamb. Sorry to those of you that were hoping to see this run without any plants dying. That unfortunately is not something that goes hand in hand with a speed run. We unfortunately sometimes have to sacrifice the plants for the greater good. They're legit troopers there. Those sunflowers, and on other levels some of the other plants. But again, really just trying to keep our gloom safe. Trying to react as quickly as we can. We get the double tall nut here. That's very unfortunate. Probably going to need to use a Squash. Oh man, and even another. I could have used a Doom Shroom here. Didn't really want to. Again, I think I dealt with that. Oh man, as we get another tall nut. Again, this is why we take the Chomper. Very, very important for being able to keep do enough damage to a particular wave where you're able to move along with the next wave more quickly. I really should have dealt with that the walnut a little bit quicker. Now I'm sort of stuck here a little bit right towards the end of this level. Gonna throw a Squash. And again, really the purpose of the Doom Shroom is for the final wave, because otherwise you can actually end up spending about 10 or 15 seconds, trying to just get enough Chompers to deal with all the very powerful plants. They actually threw a lot of Chompers at us. You can see, this would have been a bit of a nightmare, but the level actually went very well. I can really say no complaints. Now on to Zombotany 1, which is basically the same premise, only easier. Again, we start off this run with the more difficult, longer levels first, figuring that, again, if RNG goes to hell, easier to reset when you're earlier in the run than later in the run. Onwards we go. So, actually, I do want to take the pumpkin here. So, back we go. My menuing has been a little bit so-so. I've been a little bit we've changed the order of the levels a little bit, and I've been sort of working diligently for a couple different submissions of this game for GDQ. But what I really think makes this a good speedrun is just that, like, again, all the levels are so diverse. Like, there are really truly no two levels that are the same. They all require extremely different strategies. Very different types of skills in order to master. And honestly, I think that it could provide the crowd with a lot of different entertainment. I know, playing through casually, some of my favorite levels were actually the next one coming up, Call 'em Like You See 'em, as well as Slot Machine. I just had a lot of fun just, spinning those slots away and things like that. And I really think that a lot of the crowd could really sort of relate to this. And one thing that I think makes PvZ just a great game to speedrun in general is sort of that universal appeal. I mean, this is the kind of game that could be played by, probably children as young as, 6, 7, 8, or, folks in their 90s or 100s. There's really sort of no limit to how age, to geographic region. It's a premise that could, pretty easily be understood by honestly folks around the world. And as a result, we do have a very, very global, worldwide community. I think right now we have runners from, I want to say it's over 20 different countries. And on our leaderboards, if you go to the individual levels, we have 16 different runners from like 10 different countries or something like that, or maybe it's 8 different countries. So again, really, and anybody can play the game. Anybody can learn it. It does take quite a bit of skill to master. But again, it really. It really sort of has a unique appeal. It has this sort of like nice cartoony feel that I think is like visually very pleasing for casual gamers. And actually, very recently, we were featured on the Speed Gaming channel on Twitch, and ended up getting one of the higher grossing audiences that they've had in a lot of time. They actually quadrupled or even quintupled their average viewership when we did a run of any percent. So again, I think it just goes to show that there's still, this game still has a huge community, whether it's PvZ1 itself or some of the the sequel PvZ2. And again, what I think would make this really a great submission for this particular Games Done Quick is that we actually just celebrated the 10th anniversary of Plants vs. Zombies. It was first released in May 2009, which I find hard to believe. I know I started playing the game casually at least in 2010, 2011, so I know that kind of dates me a little bit, but again, really does it really be a great time to just celebrate Plants vs. Zombies. All the hard work that the developers put in. It was a very small development team at a startup called PopCap Games that was later bought by EA, but they've just put such work and dedication into this game that again has sort of really works on this tower defense principle, but just takes it to a whole new level. Something that everybody sort of enjoys. The fun looking plants, and sort of your classic enemy. The zombies. There's just really such great universal appeal to this game. That again, I really think it would be just a fantastic submission to Games Done Quick. Everything that Games Done Quick, stands for in terms of, kind of a, global appeal, and just, really sort of appealing to just, such a worldwide and, and by diverse, I mean in terms of the types of games that people like, whether it's, strategies or shooters or, tower defense or, casual games or mobile gamers. Again, Plants vs. Zombies really does have it all. It's really, a one-of-a-kind speedrun that is really, really very cool. So anyway, enough about, some of the totally unbiased reasons why I think it would make a great Plants Done Quick or get plants done quick. That's what we'll call it. We'll call it plants done quick. That'll be a separate event next year, I sure hope. But a good games done quick submission, and we move on to Call 'em like you see 'em, which, again, this was one of my very favorite games in casual play. Basically, what this is we get the same conveyor belt concept that we've had previously, but the plants spawn in waves of 5, meaning that you basically get a full column's worth of plants each time you want to plant something. So you can actually see I got relatively lucky here. I got decent firepower at the very beginning. So what this level is about is this is one of the rare levels that does not actually totally obey the 50% rule. And instead, the zombies do spawn at even intervals, including these nasty ladder zombies that we have right here. And with the exceptions to that being the wave that's just before the final wave, or just before the huge waves, and of course the huge waves themselves. Again, very, very important to to be able to deal with those as quickly as we can. This is actually the Jack-in-the-Box zombies right here are the waves before the final waves. And so again, we save our jalapenos like you saw right there to make sure that we deal with those as quickly as possible. Again, that's basically the strategy to this. A little bit of RNG, definitely, but this is a pretty safe RNG. Very, in very, very rare cases, you might lose 30 seconds to a minute. Again, depending on some of the RNG that you get, particularly towards the end of the level. You can actually see here, I've kind of lacking on the instance, so our good friends, the Gargantuars, which are the strongest zombies, and the first time that we see them in the game, they make a nice appearance right here. Decide whether I want to try to save this column or not. I think I'm going to be okay here. All right, I'm going to put it's very important to try to keep the zombies grouped up, like you can see. So I'm going to use these pumpkin plants right here in order to do that. Really try to keep them grouped up because the melon zombies, or the melon plants, do area effect damage. So again, very important to keep those guys all up like that. I actually have to try to deal with this. I was really hoping for a pot right here. Really should have made use of this a little sooner. Oh God! Speaking of things going wrong towards the end of the level. Okay, all right. I just gotta dig some stuff up here. Actually, just gonna. All right, there. I got my pot. Okay, all right. So, maybe not a perfect demonstration of how to play. Very, very probably important. What I really should have done is just saved one row of pots. I absolutely needed to. There's really no excuse for that. Let's see here. I'm gonna try to time this just so. Make sure that I can double up on these Gargantuars. Ugh, unfortunately, I didn't quite get that one perfectly, but I did get this, and that was actually a very smooth final wave, which did sort of make up for some of the chaos that we had right towards the end of the level. All right, so moving on to Bobsled Bonanza, which again is sort of taking the original principle, but also, before I lose my voice here, again, also sort of taking it to a whole new level. It's very this is a very cool run. I actually took one wrong plant here. That was very silly. I want to do this, and I can probably get rid of. Hang on here. That I'm gonna get rid of the potato mine. I think. Squash rather, and plant that. So. All right, so moving on to Bobsled Bonanza. What they do here is we start off with these nasty rows of ice right here, and what that means is that only particular types of zombies are going to appear until you deal with the rows of ice. But luckily, the jalapenos, and we actually take 2 jalapenos right here. We use a special imitator plant that lets us pick up a second version of whatever plant we want. To really sort of help deal with some of these rows of ice. Again, very important to plant our economic plants, or again in RTS terms, build our villagers very quickly in the beginning. And again, just sort of hope for good RNG in terms of what the game wants to give us. So all right, it's actually not the end of the world that we got a that we got a Zomboni here. Might actually use a jalapeno for reasons that I'll explain a little bit later, and just deal with him like that. And you can actually see the row of ice disappears. So now, if any zombies appear in this row, it's either going to be a Zomboni, which itself plants a fresh row of ice, or it's going to be regular zombies, but that's a little bit later on after the first huge wave. So again, here you can see I plant these potato mines proactively, knowing that eventually there's going to be a zombie that, or some sort of nasty. And actually, we actually don't hope for the Zombonis like this most of the time, just because it's they're very slow, very kind of annoying to deal with. And you can actually see here I plant a potato mine in what looks like kind of an odd random spot, but I actually use this to abuse a zombie spawning mechanic later on in the game that I will, or later on in the level that I will explain further. So almost certainly, yep, we're going to use one of our... Right, very important to try to get the spike rocks out as quickly as you can. These are basically like the spike weed, only even stronger. And you'll actually see what happens here is I get just a little path of ice, and then the what you call it, Zomboni blows up. So again, this was all done very deliberately. Here, do I want to use a cherry? I think I want to use a cherry. Maybe shouldn't have done that because I should have waited one more wave. Damn. All right, so I'm gonna let's see. Do I want to risk it? No, because I have one more wave. Probably, yeah. It's our use the jalapeno. Get another spike rock up. I'm gonna play this a little bit conservative. I would have played it a little bit more aggressively, I would say, in a... Ugh. Please. Don't jerk. Oh, I need one more hit, of course. Anyway, I would have, probably played this a little bit more aggressively in a legitimate run, but this was, again, looking for a games done quick submission, trying to be a little bit conservative. So the reason for this very odd-looking setup, but that was completely deliberate, is because now what happens is you'll see... we will only get either Zombonis or bobsleds. And what that means is because we have this spike weed planted so far closely, you can see we are instantly going through these waves. Basically, 2 seconds after the wave spawns, you can see instantly 50% rule satisfied. Boom, we go right there, 50%. 50% of the hit points right here. And so forth and so on. And basically, the game normally spawns regular zombies, but if you have just a little bit of ice, instead of spawning those regular zombies, they will spawn the bobsled. But the bobsled, when it collapses, basically helps us towards the 50% rule. And you can actually see you can use a cherry just like that to blow up the bobsled instantly. And you want to do that right before the huge wave, like you saw me do right there. So, long story short, we basically have this set up so that we can instantly, blast through these waves as quickly as possible. Again, you'll see we get a spawn right there, and boom. And the spike rock basically lets us kill, I believe it's 10 Zombonis before it runs out of firepower. So, again, the spike rock really lasts a long time. It's the one and only level that we actually really regularly make use of the spike rock. Although there are some other levels where you can conservatively, make pretty good use of it. And then, again, every one of these red zombies that you see right here, these normally would have been normal zombies appearing in all the different rows, including in the pool level, or including in the pool itself. But again, because we've manipulated the game into basically sending bobsleds only into the second row, and then sending the Zombonis into every row thereafter. I think as I use a cherry right there to help us spawn the next to final wave. Again, you can see that this setup really, it's taken us less time to do these last 2 waves than it did to do that first wave altogether. And that's not just because of, you know, sun. You actually see here I've way too much sun. I didn't even need the probably the 11th and 12th plant that we have there. You know, but again, you know, we just, you know, we let the bobsleds come in this second row and then kill all of these Zombonis. Obviously, kind of a fun, you know, there are a couple good puns that we have throughout these levels, but I love the word Zomboni, a good play on Zamboni. I sometimes don't even remember the real word because I've said Zomboni so many times now, having speedrun this game for about 2 years now. But, you know, yeah, nonetheless, you know, this is basically it. I could probably take my hands off of the keyboard and be very, very close to being able to beat, you know, to beat this level at this point. I was actually a little bit late on this cherry. Nope, I was actually a little early on the cherry. And maybe should just use a jalapeno here to be extra safe. I thought for sure there's something funny going on with the 50% rule there, but we'll look past it, you know. I do need to be extra safe with the Doom placement. Really, we mostly, again, take the Doom for the final wave. Because, again, this is the one time where that sort of manipulation of the RNG, or I guess it's not RNG if you can completely control it, but the one time where that manipulation really kind of comes into play. And, again, I had a very, very slow first flag, in part due to playing conservatively, but in part due to the zombie spawns that I got. But, again, luckily this level here, usually pretty consistent from an RNG perspective. Actually, really, every level hereafter isn't going to vary by more than, I would say, 10 seconds at the most. So, again, this is by far the most steady level in the speedrun. Bobsled Bonanza probably being the last one that has any kind of variance by, like, 30 seconds or more. You know, again, barring some kind of, you know, utter disaster or something like that takes place, like taking a death. But luckily, again, we've really kind of refined the strategies pretty significantly at this point. So it's you know, we're really not at too much risk of you know, taking a death. It technically could happen, as you saw in Portal Combat. That's a very, very scary level. That even again with perfect play, if you get those portals, as I get horrible RNG to start this level. This is really, we really don't want these zombies appearing in the same plants, in the same place that we have our plants. I really hope I don't lose a plant here. If I do, it's not the end of the world. I need to move that one over by like 1 space as well. Why it hasn't been shooting, this is actually quite annoying. Try to get a little more firepower here. Ugh. I miss out on this one. Okay. And what we found was basically either 11 or 12 plants is kind of the magic number. I maybe should have planted that one in the back. I think I could have saved one of these plants here. But, okay, God, I was worried I was going to lose that one for a second. But, basically, 11 or 12 sunflowers is perfect for basically being able to plant the starfruit. So the goal of this one is basically just plant all the starfruit where you see the little, you know, silhouettes or the little outlines of the starfruit planted right in the middle. So once we plant enough starfruit on all of these spots, literally the game just ends. So again, this is another level where we actually don't want to kill the zombies. And we don't want to kill them fast, because the faster you kill these zombies, then the faster new zombies will appear and really start to disrupt your plans a little bit. But again, you know, once we have this much firepower, there's just no risk of any of these zombies getting through at all. You can see here we take the puff shroom, as you saw in the beginning, really to try to stall out, you know, stall out the zombies as quickly as we could. But again, at this point, in about 15 seconds or so here, maybe 20 seconds, the level's going to be over right when we plant our last plant. So not bad. Again, it was a little bit sad that one of our plants got eaten, but again, I kind of adjusted the strategy on the fly to get that 12th sunflower to be able to react to it properly, and I really didn't have to wait for much sun at all. And again, the level's over with only about a maybe 4-second time loss to our gold split, so that's really not bad at all. this next level is called Last Stand, and again, we're not just showing off here, but we actually get to use a very, very exciting plant called the butter, the cob cannon, which is made by combining 2 butter pults, which we'll see right there. Last Stand is very interesting in that they give you a fixed amount of sun, and that is basically all the sun that you get for that particular wave, and then you get small increments of sun as you complete each additional wave. So again, you know, what we do here is we actually, normally these plants have a very long cooldown, but because you get to basically plan your defenses in advance, you know, you're left with a situation where, you know, you can instantly, ooh, I actually got a little bit lucky there. You can instantly basically build a super high firepower army, and you can see here, I'm killing all of these zombies almost instantly, which, again, the waves spawn more quickly in Last Stand, but, you know, there is a way to, you know, the faster you kill, you know, if you kill the zombies, because I missed that one by just a hair. It's extremely annoying. I'm having a little bit of a, oh, that was actually kind of nice. A little bit of a mental breakdown here, but I think we can recover from this. Anyway, but, you know, basically, the faster, you know, you kill, you know, certain waves, then the faster the next waves are going to appear. So again, I'm going to wait because there are zombies that spawn in the pool. We'll wait right here. We'll try to place this a little bit conservatively. I really hope I hit all those zombies, which I did. And then again, one more cob shot, and the level's over. So again, that could have been a little bit faster if I had one more cob cannon ready, but it's actually okay that I didn't. Again, very important to shoot your first cob right away, because again, you know, if you can kill 50% of the hit points of the zombies on wave X, then the next wave is going to appear. So again, there's a nice rhythm that goes along with this. There is a certain maximum rate at which the waves will appear. That's why there's a little bit of delay whenever I do it perfectly optimally, like you saw right there. There's a little bit of a delay before the next wave, and you know, then so again, if you can get yourself into a very nice rhythm like this, which again I try to, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. That one was a little bit early, I think, so I'm going to give myself a nice backup here. You know, if you can get yourself into a nice rhythm, and particularly, you know, if you hit some of these high hit point zombies, then you're going to be in really good shape. I actually, you know, knew I was not going to hit the high hit point zombies, so that's why I used the squash right there, just to make sure that we move on to this huge wave as quickly as possible. And this guy, I'm just going to use this for kind of stalling purposes right here. Ugh, a little bit annoying on that one. Have to go early here. I might need one more cob if I miss it. Ugh, damn. All right, so I'm actually going to use a cherry because that's faster. At this point, it's actually not worth building any more cobs. It's more important to keep the sun that you have for backups. You know, backup cherry, the squash, any of the instants that can basically control any little straggler zombie that's trying to make his way through the level. So again, you know, just getting in the rhythm right here. You know, trying to kind of, you can see here I have a nice rhythm. I basically kill, you know, the top 3 rows, bottom 3 rows, top 3 rows, bottom 3 rows. And again, if you ever get a, you know, pesky a football zombie like that, you know, you gotta do that. Guys really, you know, moving at lightning speed. And yeah, again, you know, just try to go back and forth. I probably didn't need that Tangle Kelp. Would have had it there. You know, I was a little bit early there. Again, these the most threatening zombies are probably the dolphin zombies and those Vaulter zombies. They can run really quickly, and they can jump over your plants and just do really a bunch of other pretty annoying stuff. I was a little bit behind there, so I'm gonna have to do one more cob. Fortunately, probably lost about 3 or 4 seconds there. I was just a little bit pressured. I should have done that the other way around. I should have cobbed the top and just used the cherry on the bottom row. But again, you know, nothing that costs a huge amount of time. And again, this level is actually very, very safe now. you know, sort of given that, again, we have good backup strategies with all the extra plants that we take. And, yeah, you know, again, a pretty, you know, lots of really strong firepower here. Before we thought of this cob strategy, we actually had a couple other really cool strategies that involved sort of like garlic and like forcing all the zombies into certain rows and that kind of stuff. It was a very cool. This level's definitely gone through some evolutions for sure, but you know, this strat is by far, it can save up to a minute if you do it optimally, which I'd say I've done okay this level. Not great. You know, a couple of times where, again, I've had little zombies slip through, or just situations where the, you know, the 50% rules kind of, you know, come to get me. But gonna plant an ultra backup strategy. Ugh. You can see here, I really kind of goofed. I was just too early on some of those cobs, so now I'm gonna pay for it. Okay, alright. And you have to complete 5 flags. So, again, this is a relatively long level. Usually takes around 8 minutes or so. You know, doesn't vary by too much more than that. Again, you know, barring any drama with the final waves. But, again, really, every wave does matter. Again, you know, the faster you kill certain waves, then the faster the next wave appears. So, every slightly missed cob shot, you know, can really add to the time by quite a bit. See, I was actually a little bit behind for a while there. Now trying to do this just right. I might have been early. Nope, that was actually pretty good. And again, you can actually use the zombie's head at the bottom to sort of tell, you know, where you are in the cycle. You know, if you've done enough damage to make that next wave appear on screen or not. Yeah. A little bit of drama. I'm going to try to focus this spot in a particular spot. Let's see. I'll just cherry this. This is a little risky. I really probably didn't need to take that chance unnecessarily, but oh, that's how it goes. Glad I took that Tangle Kelp, because that really could have been a problem. There are backup strats, but alright, yeah, and the level's over. Hey, you can actually see only about 3 seconds off my gold split, so that was pretty good. Next, of course, Beghouled, which is a pun on another PopGap game, Bejeweled. Basically, this is a match 3 situation. You know, you can see you can drag your plants up, down, left, or right. And as I talk here, I should actually focus on the level. Yeah, you know, you can kind of move through things pretty quickly. This is one of my weaker levels, I would say, in terms of levels that I don't play quite as consistently as others. I've definitely gotten some good times. You know, if you can get under 2 minutes on this level, it's a good time. Once you start to get to like 2:30. You know, that's when, you know, you're kind of, you know, you need a little bit of practice. So this is one of those levels that, you know, I definitely love to practice a bit more. Really what I try to do is I try to look for colors and patterns and things like that. It's very helpful if you can get doubles and so forth, just like in Bejeweled the game. You know, again, more doubles and triples and so forth that you can get. There's some RNG to it, of course, you know, based on what plants drop from the sky. You can see right there, that was actually mostly RNG. I got a good drop from the sky. But, you know, again, yeah, being able to get, like, sets of 4, sets of 5, those things count as double matches, and this level is over, again, not when you kill the zombies at any particular time, but rather just when you get 75 matches. Each match does give you some sun, which you can use to either reset your RNG, or to upgrade your plants. There's really no major purpose in upgrading the plants. You know, for my rule of thumb is if I can't find something within about 2 seconds or so, just reset it. You know, everyone's probably like screaming at their TV or so forth. You know, trying to get things all in order, but that's you know, that's what we got. You know, it's still good fun. You know, so we try to keep the whole you know, try to keep things fresh, try to keep things entertaining. But you know, again, another level that I can kind of you know, definitely work on going forward to really make sure that it's good. The world record individual level that we have for this is absolutely insane. You know, we have people you know, people doing you know, the level basically in under 1:30. You know, getting those matches super quickly. As you can see here, I can't even get my last 3 matches in any kind of reasonable order. But you know, finally we're done with the level. Like I said, 2:30 is a bad time, so not exactly the greatest demonstration of what I would have liked this level to be. But you know, that's about what we get at. Yeah, so we're actually kind of creeping in on the last maybe 10 or so minutes of the run. You know, and this one is called Beguiled Twist. So again, this is kind of a, you know, a similar premise, but rather than moving things up and down and left and right, you can actually see we move the plants in a clockwise pattern here, trying to form sets of 3. So there's actually some patterns that you can look for. You can look for the little L shape. You can look for a situation where a plant is 1 away from a set of 2. And sometimes, honestly, if you can't see anything at the moment, there's nothing wrong with kind of spam clicking. Or sometimes, like, I'll see the match, but I won't know exactly what area to click on. So there's a lot of spam clicking that goes on here. But again, that's part of the strategy, because there's really no cost to having an incorrect guess. You know, maybe a quarter second or something like that. But you know, but that's you can see there I was just clicking in the wrong spot. I saw the match, but that's where we were at. Again, there was the match right there. Again, a lot of this is just sort of looking to see patterns and, you know, being able to react to them pretty quickly. I was sure that there was a pattern down there, but, you know, again, sometimes, you know, the bottom rows and the edges are really the most difficult to try to deal with. The rest is all you know, pretty basic. So again, just kind of looking for different patterns. There's actually an L shape that I just saw at the end there that I missed. And again, it can be hard to try to find doubles on this one, but you know, sometimes, again, if you played enough, sometimes you can see the occasional one. Again, this is a little bit difficult. I actually missed another one on the bottom there. And again, unfortunately, have a fortunate star pattern right up here of this, like, every other kind of situation. Gonna reset things again. And again, really no shame in just resetting the RNG and just you know, trying to put together something cleaner where you actually can find some matches. And this is another level you know, I like to be done in the 2-minute time frame. You know, if it's 2:15, that's kind of okay. Again, 2:30, which is probably what this one's going to be, is, you know, fairly mediocre. But again, you know, all kinds of things that get better with time. You can see we have only 5 matches to go. Hope to keep this under 2:30. There we go. Okay, very nice. Nice little surge there at the end to figure, you know, finally, you know, put the rest of the level together. All right, so now we move on to, again, you know, these last few levels tend to be very low in their variance. There are some things that can technically go wrong with each of these levels, but this is another one where the 50% rule that we were talking about earlier really doesn't apply. It's all about the zombies spawn at pretty even intervals. That said, if you use the cherry bombs, you sometimes can actually move the waves ahead a little bit more quickly, but really the important thing is to just be prepared for the 9th wave, or the wave that's right before the huge wave, and using cherry bombs to get rid of all of those zombies in pretty quick succession. Nothing wrong with using an early cherry like that when you're given horrible RNG to start, which, you know, again, as you can see, I was. Yeah, really hoping for some normal pea shooters here, but that is just not happening yet. Alright, so I'm going to put a little, well, yeah, I should probably do this. Again, try to get some defenses up in each of these rows. Hindsight, I should maybe not have used that. Oh shoot, I was a little bit early there. Okay, I'm actually in a little bit of trouble. I made a little bit of a mistake here. Could have gotten this done maybe about 1 to 2 seconds faster by saving that cherry bomb. I kind of panicked a little bit, and I really just needed to use the walnut to help keep the row safe. I was just a little bit ahead of myself. And again, it's a little bit different from the way that this run looks in the normal run in the any percent, but you know, that's about what we're left at. You know, again, I try to use a cherry bomb or two towards the beginning of these huge waves, just so that, you know, we don't lose our walnuts too quickly. Yeah, again, really at this point, you know, you can see things get pretty defensive. It's nice to have certainly at least one pea in every row, if not two, and then one walnut as well. You know, just trying to just trying to stay ahead of the game a little bit. You know, it's yeah, it's and at this point, you know, again, the levels mostly takes care of itself. Again, just trying to be very diligent about using our cherries at the right time, not losing, you know, not letting the ooh, I actually get a diamond drop here. Again, not letting these zombies get too out of hand. Yeah. A little annoying right here. Look at this. Really, I should probably cherry here. Actually, oh god, because I have to get I actually had to get that one done. Alright, I left myself in a little bit of a predicament. Sure. I'm gonna sacrifice one of these for the greater good. Alright, another very slight mistake there. Probably cost about 3 to 4 seconds, I would say. Again, just not exactly on top of it with you know, some of these ninth waves, but again, a couple of nice cherries here to, you know, clear out everything. And again, at this point, you know, having 2 to 3, well, I guess a couple still have 1, but having enough firepower in most of the dangerous rows, you know, really kind of puts me in a good position for the rest of the level. I'm not anticipating any more major hiccups for the rest of the run. Again, nothing wrong with using just a cherry or two to keep things under control. As you can see, we're kind of running a little bit of trouble in that 4th row. Want to do that, but I kind of felt like I had to. I actually really like that cherry location. I'm happy with how that went. A lot of sort of the trouble that we're running into on this level has really been a function of not getting the firepower as early as early as we would like. I thought I was one wave ahead of where I really was. So again, hopefully they give me 2 cherries. They really should. Again, at this point, yep, 2 cherry bombs should be enough. Let's see where some of these will spawn. Okay, this is good. As long as I'm not too early. I might have been a little early there. Nah, darn it. Yep, okay. Bad. You can see I lost about 6 seconds to my gold split. And yeah, just kind of back at it again. Right. Zombaquarium. So this is a fun play on a game called Infiniquarium, where basically you have to feed the zombies brains, and as you do, they produce sun. So you can actually see when they start to turn green, it means they're starting to run out of oxygen. But they usually will spawn one more sun after they turn green. So in the beginning here, again, I want to save as much sun as I possibly can, because the more sun that I save, the this is getting risky. Yep, I had to feed them. I was worried I was going to lose them, and again, for marathon safe purposes, we can you know, we can feed the zombies. If we were going for, you know, a crazier, you know, world record, we might react to this a little bit differently, but again, this really isn't too bad. So we found here is the magic number is 9 zombies. The reason being, if you have 10 zombies, each sun is worth 25, and you need 1,000 sun in order to beat the level. So if you have 10 zombies and they each pay for themselves, i.e. they each produce 100 sun, then you're even. So if you want the zombies to more than pay for themselves, then sticking with 9 is the way to go, because that 10th zombie just won't pay for himself by the time the level's over. So 9, you know, maybe 8, but, you know, depending on the sun RNG, but 8 or 9 is definitely the magic number. Did I do 10? I might have done 10. Alright, well, ignore me. Apparently I can't follow my own advice. But really, just what it means is that the last zombie is not going to quite pay for itself. So I may end up losing 1 to 2 seconds as a result of that. And again, maybe another second or 2 just due to the nature of the sun RNG and things like that. But again, we're getting very close. Actually, when you have an even interval of 25 sun towards the very end, you do not want to feed the zombies, because then it'll throw off your time. Actually, pretty good time there, right on track with my PB. And on to the very last level in the game. Again, this level is pretty self-explanatory. It's basically like whack-a-mole. You just gotta whack the zombies as they come up. So we do this for about 4 minutes and try to bust as many of the graves as we can using the sun that some of the zombies drop. So again, I'd just like to seriously thank you for considering this for Games Done Quick. Again, a little bit of the run's a little bit on the longer side, but again, I feel like there's enough interest to hold the viewer's attention easily for 2 hours. I mean, again, every level is extremely different. It's a lot of fun. Again, millions of people have played the Plants vs. Zombies series, again, whether it's mobile or on desktop or iOS or anything like that. And the series has really grown to become one of the biggest series in gaming today. They actually just announced Plants vs. Zombies 3 relatively recently. It's sort of in a pre-alpha mode at this point. So again, it's been a very, very exciting time. That coupled with the 10-year anniversary has been very exciting. And just our community itself has grown. We probably get 4 or 5 new runs submitted per day. For Plants vs. Zombies, there are tons and tons of active runners. It's definitely one of the I think one of the more rapidly growing speedrunning communities that's out there. And we just not only that, again, 10-year anniversary of the game. And we've basically had world records in all of the major categories and nearly all of the individual levels just within the last 6 months alone. And in fact, within the last month, we've had several new world records in some of the major and minor categories as well, as the game just gets more and more and more optimized. And we get more people kind of contributing good suggestions and just kind of increasing their skill level of the game. So again, I really do appreciate you considering this for Games Done Quick. Again, on a more personal note, again, not that this should be factored into the decision, but just sort of one of my motivations for submitting, obviously, in addition to loving Plants vs. Zombies, loving the event I've been following since the original days of Speed Demos Archive and the very first Games Done Quick that we had, but also just in this in the past year, we actually did have 2 close friends. Both a friend of mine and a friend of my wife, both have become mutual friends that were diagnosed with cancer just in their 30s and early 40s. So and luckily both of them, thank God, are in remission. Thanks to screening and some great works by doctors, and again just going to get that work done. But again, it really to me has made, cancer is very real for everybody, but it's really made the reality of cancer and just the importance of research and prevention and things like that just so much more thankful for me. I mean, we really would have, could have lost, two of our very, very, close friends just in the last year. And so cancer has just been, very real, very much on my mind. And so anything that I could do to support that research and helping to raise money and just the great causes that Games Done Quick represents, it has a very special meaning for me personally, as I again, as I sort of continue, to see, all right, what does it mean to be an adult, and what do I want to do? So again, that's sort of a little bit of a personal touch to why this event is important to me, and so forth. So again, I really do thank you for considering this game. Again, lots of cool aspects. I'm very happy to answer any questions that you might have. You can find me either Warmat Gaming on Twitch, or I'm sure by the Games Done Quick submission itself, or YouTube or wherever else. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions. Provide any additional commentary or additional things that you'd like to see regarding the game. But again, this was the 20 levels that we have in MiniGames, done relatively quick. Could have been have been a lot faster if we were really grinding for excellent RNG, and if I'd polished off a little bit of the rust on some of the levels that I haven't been practicing quite as much in the last few weeks. But again, this is Plants vs Zombies, the all minigame category. Again, I do hope you'll consider accepting it or one of the Plants vs Zombies games this year. Kind of given all the all the excitement around the community. And again, anything that I can do to help or assist with the event, that's something that I'm very happy to do. And again, I really do thank you for your consideration. So until then, take care and bye bye.